Hello everyone, welcome to my YouTube channel Easy Programming. I'll continue teaching you how to write C language programs here. In my previous videos, I have explained about typecasting and operators. In this video, I'll continue with the next topic, that is control flow statements. So what are control flow statements? Generally, when we write a program like this one, every program have some statements. So this is the first statement, second, third, fourth, 12 line programs I have written here. When the compiler compiles the program, it compiles line at a time and one by one. So first line, then second line, then third line, then fourth line, then fifth line, and so on. This is called sequential flow of the compiler. But sometimes you may want to change it. That is, you want to execute this seventh line 100 times. You want to execute this ninth line only if the eighth line condition result is true, or you want to go from 10th line to the third line. So you would like to control the flow of the statements. So this is called control flow statements. Okay, so I have explained it here, the same thing, that you want to control the execution of statements, so that you can use control flow statements. The control flow statements can be categorized into three categories. One is decision making, which is also called branching statements, looping or iterations, and then jumping statements. So let's start with decision making or branching statements. These are the statements where you have to test the condition, and based on the result of the condition, you decide which part of statements you want to execute. Okay, inside the decision making or branching statements, there are if-else, if-elseif-else, nested if, and switch case. These four categories belong to decision making or branching. The next category is looping. If you want to execute a group of statements more than once, for example, you want to print your name 100 times, then you should put it inside a loop, which is also called iteration. To implement your loop, you have three keywords: for, while, and do while. You can pick any one of those. It will do the same task. There's a little difference only. And based on the programmer's choice, some prefer for loop, while some prefer while loop. So you can pick any one of these. And then comes the jumping statements, that is break, continue, and go to. In this video, we'll cover if-else, and switch case varieties. So let's continue. Decision making or branching. So what are decision makings? We will decide, that is, whether you want to execute some group of statements or not. To do so, you have a condition, and based on the result of this condition, you will decide which statements you want to execute. Okay, so in decision making, let's start with if-else. So how if-else would look like? You will have a condition placed in if block, and if this condition results true, then the block of statements inside if will be executed, and if this condition results false, then block of statements of else will be executed. Okay, so if-else. Now the syntax means the grammatical rule. How would you write a sentence? That is, a syntax are the rules which are to be followed to implement in a programming. So you will have a if keyword, and the condition is placed inside these round brackets, followed by the block of statements, and then if you want to place else, you will place else immediately after the end of the block of if statements. Okay, now let's memorize some rules of if-else. So first rule is only relational operators are used in condition. I have seen some students who write if bracket start a plus b, which is wrong. If bracket start a divide b. Generally place a condition which will always result in true or false. If the condition doesn't produce result true or false, you are doing a mistake. Okay, so you have to correct it. The second rule is condition must always be placed inside the round brackets. Without round brackets, you cannot place your condition. The third rule is curly braces are optional if you have a single line of statement to execute. For example, if a greater than b, you want to print a is greatest. That's it. In such case, you do not need a curly braces. Curly braces are optional. But if your if block have more than one statement, for example, if a greater than b, print a is greatest, print b is smallest. Now there are two statements. In such case, you need curly braces. If you place an if block and do not place an else block, that is acceptable. But the converse is not true, that is else block without the if will not work. Okay, so these are the rules that you have to memorize. Now let's continue. Now I have given some examples and let's see if it works or these are okay or not. So here I have placed a if, then condition, curly braces, block of statement. So this is perfectly right, it will be accepted. Now here some students do this mistake, if condition semicolon and then block of statements. Compiler will not generate any error message here, but this will not be a part of if. If will be just considered in the sixth line and these lines will be free of if. So don't do this avoid semicolon before the curly braces beginning. Okay, so this is wrong. Now if followed by else within curly braces, that is absolutely correct. Yes. You have not placed an if and you are trying to place an else block, that is absolutely wrong. Program will not work. You can have multiple conditions using if followed by else if followed by next else if followed by next else if and at the end else. So this is absolutely right. You can have a nested if else as well. Well, this is the if condition. If this condition results true, you enter inside this block which have another condition if, and this executes. So this statement will only execute if both these conditions will result true. Then this if is followed by else, and again this if outer if is followed by an else block. Okay, so this is also totally acceptable, totally right. Now let's have a program to find the given number is even or odd. So the numbers like 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 are even, and the numbers like 1, 3, 5, 7, 9 are odd. How they are called even and odd? Because they are divisible by 2 and they do not provide remainder more than 0. For example, if you divide 4 by 2, you will have 2 and your remainder is 0. So this is a even number. But for odd numbers, the remainder is always 1. So I have written a program here for you. I have read an input in n, the number that user is printing, and n modulus 2 is executed first. So let's say 10 modulus 2 equals to 0 and this condition results true, and this ninth line will be executed and even is printed, else will not be printed. But if I type number 11, then 11 modulus 2 returns 1, which is not equals to 0. Now if will not execute and else will execute. Okay, now these are the list of programs that we have to do, that you can do for your own practice. I have done program to find the given number even or odd, and the remaining programs you can do it by yourself. I'll write one program for you guys and the program will be leap year or not. Okay, so wait a second. And in Day4, I'll introduce a new line. Let's give a heading to our program. Check the given year is leap year or not. So introduce the header files, hash include stdio.h. Then I'll introduce main function. Inside the main function, I will declare a variable int year, and the input part is I have to read the value from user in year. So I'll say printf enter any year, and I'll have scanf, that is %d, comma, ampersand year, and I have the value. Now generally every fourth year is a leap year, so most of the times the year numbers that are divisible by 4, for example 2012, 2016, that will be exactly divisible by 4 and the remainder is 0, will be leap year. So what I'll say, if year modulus 4 equals to 0, then I'll say printf %d is a leap year, and the %d means comma year value will be printed here, and else I'll say printf %d is not a leap year, comma year, and I'll say return 0 here. Let's save the program now. So leap year dot cpp. I'll execute and compile my program, and I have asked, the output is year, so I'll ask 2012, and it prints me 2012 is a leap year. Let's try one more time. 2015, yes, it is not a leap year. Now I'll show you the mistakes that you should not do. Now let's say if I place a semicolon here and I compile and run my program, it says you have placed an else without if, because if finishes here and there is no else here. Okay, so you should not place semicolon here. If you do not place else, it will work, definitely it will work. Okay, but for 2015 there will be no output because you have not placed an else block. Okay, you cannot place a condition here like year modulus for not equals to 0. You cannot do that because else doesn't have any condition. This is automatically tested in the above if condition. Okay, so you should avoid these mistakes. Okay, so there you go. Now a problem here is that century years are not leap years, but my program will say it is a leap year as 2000 is divisible by 4 and the remainder is 0. So I'll add another condition here like else if year modulus 4. Just a second. I cannot do that. I have to combine my condition that year is divisible by 4 and year is not divisible by 100. So let's see now, and I say 2000. 2000 is not a leap year. Absolutely right, my program is working fine. And 2012, yes, it is a leap year. Then again 2015, yes, it is not a leap year. So my program is working fine. Now this AND condition says that if this condition results true and if this condition results true, only then this statements must be executed. Otherwise, this else will be executed. So this is a program of leap year, and you can do these programs by yourself. Okay. There's a practice of nested if else in the 5th program. There's a practice of if-elseif-else in the 6th program. Okay, so you guys can do it by yourself. Right. Now let's continue further. And the next part is switch case. Now switch case are similar to if else. So the problems that you have done with if else, most of the problems can also be solved using switch case. Switch case is basically used to create menu driven programs, menu based programs. The user is given multiple choices. They can select any one option from the available options, and the corresponding case will be executed. Okay, most of the if else programs can be solved using switch case as well. Now the syntax of switch case, how the switch case is written. Switch case is written like this thing. Switch s will be in small, make sure that, because switch is a keyword. Switch, and inside these round brackets there will be an expression, not the condition but the expression. Okay, which should have some value, and then followed by case 1 colon. This is called label. Okay, so case label 1, and if this label matches with the expression, then these block of statements will be executed. And if this label 2 case matches, and so on up to, and you can create as many cases as your memory supports, that is your RAM supports. If any of these cases doesn't matches with the expression, then the default is executed. So default is similar to the else block of your if else conditions. So default will be placed at the end of the cases. Okay, so this is the syntax of switch case. Now there are some rules of switch case as well. Let's see those. Your expression must be placed inside this, that is a variable which should have a value. Okay, now every case must have a break statement. I'll show you why this should be true in the examples. Okay, and switch case only work for integers and character data types. I'll explain this as well. Okay, let's see the example. Now this is an example working perfectly. Like what I have done here is I have read a value in X from the user, and I ask the user to type 1, 2 or 3. If the user types any one of these values, I'll print the corresponding English name of these. Like if they presses 1, then I'll say 1. If they press 2, then in English 2. If they press 3, then in English 3. And if they do not press 1, 2, 3, then the default will be executed, that is invalid choice. please try again. Okay, so this is a switch case that is successfully running, and I'll do some programs for you guys. So let's execute program of switch case. Okay, so just a second. Programs that I have done earlier. Mm, I could not find those, so no problem. I'll write the program again. Stdi.h. I'll type fast and will not speak because I have shown this example to you guys. So just wait a second. Okay, so I have written the program. Let's try to run this program now. Yeah, it works perfectly. Now let's say there is no break statements at the end of every case, and let's execute my program. There is no error, so it is working fine. And if I press 1, now you see 1, 2, 3, and the default value not a valid choice, please try again, are executed simultaneously. That is, the problem with switch case is if the case value matches with the expression, then all the remaining cases and default lines will be executed as long as they find a break statement or the end of the block. So you have to make sure that if your switch value matches with the case values, then the remaining cases should not be executed. To do this, we use the break sentence. So break keyword says that once you have executed the one part, then move out of the block. Do not execute all these lines. So after every case, I need a break statement. Okay, but after default we do not place a break statement because default is the last line and there is nothing to execute after that. Okay, so let's check this again, and there you go. Okay, now if I say integer to float and I say percentage f, it will not work because switch cases cannot work for the integer data or float data types. And if you do this for character, sorry, character string like this one, again it will not work because switch cases do not work for integers, float and string values. Now let me write another program for you guys, like uh, vowel or not, so I can do that. So I'll have a variable character x, read a value in C because for characters we use percentage %C, and this switch case. Now here I'll say case A, and A should be placed inside the single quotes because it is a character value. If this case matches, say I'll say %C is vowel. So I'll say X, then I'll match with E, then I'll match with I. Okay, and I'll repeat this message, and then comes case O, and then comes case U, and the message is same in every case. Okay, and in default I'll say %C is consonant and not a vowel. Okay, vowel and run the program. Oh, I have not changed the message. I'll do this. Let's say A and it works fine. A is vowel. Let me change the message first. Enter any character from between A to Z. And let's say compile and run program again. So I'll say D. D is consonant. Let's check again. E is vowel. So case is working fine. Now what I can do is, since every case have a same message, so I can combine all the cases like this one. For all the cases there is a single output. Okay, so let's compile and run again and see if it works. Yeah, it works perfectly. Let's test this value again. Yeah, it's working fine. Okay, now I can do the same for upper cases as well. For capital A I can add more cases, and I'll say capital A, capital E, capital I, capital O, and capital U. This compile and run. So I'll say capital A and it still works. So this is an example of switch case. And there are some list of programs that you guys can do by yourself, and if you guys have any problems you can let me know. These are the programs. I have written this program for you guys, so you don't have to do this, but you can do these programs by yourself. Okay, this is a very common program and very useful to implement the menu based programs. If you want to create a small software, a small working application inside in C language only, then this program will help you a lot in future. So you guys, better you should do this. So that's it for today guys. Thank you for watching my channel. Keep liking and sharing my videos, and please subscribe and do click on the bell icon. Thank you very much. See you on the next video.